Playing out-of-the-box Precons are one of the cheapest and most fun ways to play Commander. Opening a new Precon is an experience with anticipation and excitement. But let's be real, not all first experiences are smooth sailing, because many Precons lack the many parts of being a whole deck. Let's say you're really excited to try out your new deck, and you ask to play with your friends. They bring to this table some of their best decks that they have spent a lot of their money on, and you absolutely get steamrolled on turn 5, if you're lucky, maybe turn 6. It's like bringing a knife to a gunfight, because they all got all these crazy decks they've been tuning up for months, while you got a deck that you just took straight out of the box. Even when they do switch to more budget-friendly decks, there's still a noticeable gap between the decks. This is due to the fact that the power level of their commanders could still be high, and even with the budget cards they have, they can find great synergy with their commander. While you have the cards you're given, and you hope to make use of these cards. Sure, your deck is still functional and can pop off occasionally in some games, but it's just not to the point where you can sustain constant wins. You end up losing a lot of this Precon, and you want to tune up your own deck, so you watch many videos telling you how to edit a deck, and you also use EDH Rec to assist you. You end up deciding that you should put some of your own cards in, and you should also buy some other cards to help make the deck better. You then find cards that don't jive well with the deck and take them out. Here's the thing, sometimes it's not all about the cards, but the commander itself. Like for example, if you have a dead battery in a remote, no matter how much you try, it doesn't work and you cannot turn on the TV. If you're trying 10 cards in and 10 cards out, it depends on the deck and how good the commander is. Even in the best staples in CDH can't fix some of the worst Precon commanders. Another problem with Precons is the inconsistency of power levels. What I mean by this is if you're playing with a group that is all playing Precons and you want to see who will win a low power level fight, but you do end up finding that one deck usually pulls ahead in the earliest and usually wins. In March of Machines case, it would be Cavalry Charge. Cavalry Charge is like the eldest son to all the decks. It dominates in its abilities to control its younger siblings. The deck overall has a good enough mana base, a good theme, and it flows well together, while the other decks lack these essential components and don't flow well. For example, the Precon Tinker Time is like the youngest child. It relies too much on its commander, doesn't have a great theme or commander, and lastly, it operates very slowly due to its bad mana base. This isn't about skill or luck, it's about the large imbalance of the deck's power level that can sour the group's experience. There are far too many tap lands within the Tinker Time deck. It doesn't have one tap land, not two tap land, not even three tap land, but 9 different tap lands. Guaranteed tap lands aren't that great because they make you have one less mana each turn, and this can make you feel like you're always a step behind. Some Precons have too little interaction, too little ramp, and most Precons have too many board wipes. This can lead to players with too little interaction not being able to do with their opponent's much stronger board state. You can say that playing a board wipe can get rid of their board, but stronger decks can rebuild quicker, even playing a Teferi's Protection. Good luck to being that. Good ramp is very important because the quicker you can play your commander, usually the quicker you can get your engine working. Let's for example, you're playing Tinker Time. Okay, I know it's a bad deck, but you want to get your commander as fast as possible, but you can't play your commander as early as other decks because they have much better ramp cards that give them more value. Yes, there are many ways to upgrade your mana base to make it really good, but even with the good mana base, the deck might still not flow well. Another problem with Precons is the lack of customization in the deck. Many players just like a simple way to playing the deck and not put a lot of time into it. But if a player only plays Precons with little to no refinements, this causes a really unhealthy behavior for a player, because in editing a deck is one of the many skills to being a well-balanced EDH player. Making a deck allows you to create your own narrative and your own personality for the deck. It's kind of like personalizing your own room, which tells a story about you. In a Precon, you don't have all your janky cards you would like to run in your existing deck, but rather you have the cards you're given, and you have to play the broad magic the developers aim for. Imagine a Precon as a blank canvas. It's a starting point, but the masterpiece comes from your additions. Each choice, each card is a brushstroke that adds depth, personality, and strategy, transforming a generic deck into a reflection. Commander Precon should be a deck that you play as a beginner so you can learn how to make your own decks, or more experienced players should polish them to the point where they can compete with other strong decks. Some decks over-rely on their commanders, and all opponents have to do is just remove your commander from the board each time it enters. This is only the case if you're the problem. Precons don't usually suit up with many protection spells, leading to the decks that do rely on their commanders to have a hard time playing the game, and feel constantly that they're not in control of the board. Many Precons also have a hard time winning the game because they don't have many win cons. This is most likely due to the fact that win conditions are mostly expensive, and Wizards of the Coast do not want to ruin the economy of the game. One of the most critical components of the successful EDH deck is the card advantage. Precons have a couple draw mechanics where you either don't have enough of the cards in hand, or players just don't have enough repeatable draw engines for the deck that make them be able to refill their hands each turn efficiently. This limitation can lead to turns where you're doing much less than your opponents or missing opportunities because you simply don't have enough options to work with in your hand. Top decking is not healthy because you're relying on the sheer luck that your deck is going to give you the card that you're looking for instead of the strategic planning and execution if you did have a lot of cards. Most players play their Precon a couple times and then they make up their mind that this deck's really not working for me, and they're just going to scrap it to make another deck of theirs stronger. This is the fate of most Precons because the deck doesn't flow well, the commander doesn't do much, or they didn't have a great time with the deck. Using a deck to make other decks better is fine, but why'd you buy it if you're not going to use it as the same commander? You could have just bought some of the best singles for the deck to make it better. Usually you can't put all these in the deck, so you end up actually leaving out some of the cards you got. Makes sense scrapping it, but it also feels like a waste, doesn't it? Many Magic players are guilty of this, including me. But now can we talk about how many Precons are out now? Wizards of the Coast is pumping in these out like there's no tomorrow. Wizards has gradually increased the Precon numbers throughout the years since Commander has increased a ton in popularity compared to the other formats like Standard and Modern. Usually Wizards only made one Commander Precon set each year containing 4 to 5 decks, but as the years progressed, Wizards got more and more greedier and started making more sets, and this led to more Precons. In 2023, there were 25 Precons made alone, and this shows you how many Precons there are to buy. Players could get overwhelmed, and many players end up buying many Precons each year and ending up having a mediocre to bad deck. For Commander players who haven't played in a couple or many years, they can be confused by the very interesting and the new mechanics they have added to Commander in the newest sets. They have added many mechanics that come with every set, and this could confuse many players old or new. This is fine as long as it's explained by another Commander player or the card itself has a little explanation explaining the mechanic. You know what it is. So what's the solution to these many problems? Well, first and foremost, refining the mana base would be more fun because every player playing a Precon gets to play their deck faster and more efficiently. Secondly, Wizards should work harder on the development of each deck and try to work out how they can make each deck more balanced and make the deck flow better. They can do this by not making each commander hop garbage and put in better theme cards. Lastly, if they work harder to make these Commander Precons better, then this can increase the price of the Precons, so they would release less Precons each year. If Wizards just took a step back and focused on the quality rather than the quantity, we would all win. Fewer but better, right? This in theory would make the Commander decks more and more stronger. Despite their flaws, Precons have a significant impact on Commander landscape. They are gateways for new players and veterans to have easy and affordable ways to play Commander. Remember, every player starts somewhere, and Precons are often that first step for many new Commanders. That is all my reasons, so if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing for more videos just like this one.